welcome to our live session. First and foremost, I pray that I am meeting every single person well. And I want to get straight into today's session because I want to present to you a whole bunch of value in terms of a framework that you can use, a step-by-step guide to help you start to leverage what you may perceive as little right now in your life in order for you to start to lean on a whole lot. Now, to start with today's session, I want to start by asking a very simple question. It's a question to you, it's a question for me, it's a question for everybody. And that question is, are there areas of your life where you feel as though you should have a lot more? If that's you, just simply write in the chat or let me know by saying that's me. Because throughout life, I've found time and time again, year in, year out, that there are certain areas, they might be physical areas in terms of physique, in terms of health, in terms of wellness, where I feel like, you know what, I should be doing better in this area. And sometimes it's not just about physical areas. Sometimes it's about mental areas where in your mind, you feel as though, well, I've come against this challenge before and I've overcome this challenge for sure. So maybe I shouldn't be going through this challenge anymore. And if you can identify with that, again, just throw in the comments, that's me. And last but not least, maybe even the most importantly, for many of us as believers, we get into seasons where we say to ourselves, well, spiritually, I should be getting breakthroughs by now. Spiritually, I should be seeing things on a whole new level right now. Spiritually, I shouldn't be going through what I've been going through right now. And again, if that's you, simply put in the comments, that's me. Because time and time again, there's areas in our lives where we feel as though we should be outperforming and overperforming the current level we're currently performing. And this is the reason why today I've decided to share with you guys the exact framework that I've taken from the pages of the Bible in order to reveal to you how time and time again, some of the most successful people in the world, some of the most successful businesses in the world, and I myself have utilized in order to move further faster in my future by simply understanding a simple hack which allows you to leverage what you may perceive as little in order for you to start to lean on what you now perceive as a lot. Let me start by sharing a very simple story. So to protect the innocent, I'm going to call this lady Lamide. So a number of years ago, this lady Lamade heard about a program that at the time we were running, my wife and I, called the Cash Flow Creation Challenge. Now, if you're someone who's aware of the Cash Flow Creation Challenge, you've been a part of it, you've participated in it, you found value from it, again, just write in the comments, I have, or that's me, right? So this is about three years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and we were running one of our cash flow creation challenges. And during the week of the cash flow creation challenge is typically a 5-day training where I literally uncover the science, the strategies, the tactics, the skills, and the systems that we use in order to create consistent and then colossal cash flow for ourselves and also for our clients as they start to get to grips with these systems. So Lamade must have heard about me from a webinar, came from that webinar and decided to join our cash flow creation challenge. And on the cash flow creation challenge, a few things happen. Now, some people join as general participants, some people join as VIP participants, and we all know that VIP is the place to be, right? So Lamade decided to be a VIP on the cash flow creation challenge. Now, one of the perks and benefits of being a VIP is that you get a 60-minute all access Q&A every single day of the cash flow creation challenge. So Lamade was inside of the private room where we have our questions being asked and answered by the VIPs. And on one of the days, I think it was like day 1 or day 2, Lamade shared off of the context of something I taught on the day that she's a solicitor, right? It was specifically day 2. I remember that now because on day 2, we cover cash flow creation strategies. And I was talking about a specific strategy. The question that came up in VIP was, Samuel, okay, these are strategies I can employ to maximize my cash flow, but how do I first find these actual properties, right? And I shared in the VIP multiple ways to find the properties. One of the ways I shared was using a specific website called CourtServe, okay? Now, the CourtServe website is a website that's been established by the main courts inside of the UK. Now, if you're in the US of A, you have something very similar. You have a court system over there, and the judicial system sets up a mainframe or a database or a website for people to be able to access so they can be made aware of court cases that are taking place. Now, in the UK, the way that system and that platform works is it actually allows you to monitor and receive messaging from the court system to know which hearings are taking place and where they're taking place, right? And you can register for this, sign up for this, and literally get emails on a day-to-day basis, on a bi-daily basis, etc., giving you insights and information about when and what court hearings are coming up, right? Now, some of you might be thinking, Samuel, this is crazy. Like, why would any human being want this? Well, if you're someone who's interested in investing in property, one of the reasons you might want this is so you can see when a family surname, right, hashtag normal person, versus a big business, most likely hashtag a bank or financial institution lender, are going to court, because 9 times out of 10, that's the indication of some kind of delinquency in payment, some kind of mortgage arrears, etc. Right? So this was one of the tactics that I shared. Now, Lamade reveals on day 2, which is super interesting, of the Cash Flow Creation Challenge, that she's actually a solicitor, right? So I want you to understand this, right? We're in a private room where, all tuned into our cameras or our screens, however you may be. We're sat there and I'm breaking down this specific strategy of how to start finding properties in a super ninja way that most people have never even heard of, let alone most people even teach, right? And Lamade is literally at the screen, like blown away. And she says this, she says, Samuel, when it came to her turn to ask a question, she says, my name is Lamade, her actual name. And she says, my question is, because that's the format we use. She says, my question is, Samuel, before I ask my question, I just have to say something. I am actually a practicing solicitor and have been for over 15 years. And she said, what you just shared with me is such a game changer. She said, because I've been using that website as a solicitor for the majority of those 15 years. You see, Lamade revealed something that I share a lot of the time. I share that I help people create consistent and then colossal cash flow using resources and revenues. Here's the key word: hidden in plain sight. Lamade shared, Samuel, you've just shared something with me that was hidden right in front of my sight. You just shared something with me that I'm using on a day-to-day basis and didn't even recognize or realize that it could be the avenue to my resources and my revenue. Now, you might be thinking, Samuel, how does this story relate to leveraging a little in order to be able to lean on Alot? Well, it's quite simple. It's simple in the sense that if Lamide was more aware of the little things in front of her that were of value, even though she may not have seen the initial value, that could have changed everything for her. And literally, from me sharing this, Lamide was able to do a few other things in the week. Now, I'm going to share one other thing that Lamide was able to do because it's super relevant to this context of what I'm sharing in today's session. And again, for those of you who get any value throughout this training or throughout this session, what I'd love you to do, hit that like button, share with the YouTube algorithm that this is good content and other people like you should be able to see this. But then side by side with this, why not also subscribe to the channel? We look at the statistics and we see that over 60% of people that actually engage with this channel do not subscribe, which is super weird because we're a channel that desires to grow. So feel free to hit subscribe, feel free to hit like. Let's go deeper. So when we get to day 3 of the cash flow creation challenge, I usually set a simple, quick, small task, especially for my VIPs. And I did this on that cash flow creation challenge specifically. And the challenge was, okay, the challenge within the challenge was, I would like all of you guys to go on your social media accounts. You pick whichever one you want, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it is, right? Whatever's available at the time. And what I want you to do on that social media platform is I want you to post a short post making people aware of the fact that you're active and interested in property, right? Active and interested in property investment. Now, the reason I bring this up is because Lamide was the first person to have an objection, okay? So Lamide says, no, Samuel, I'm not doing that. I never do that. I'm not gonna mix work with pleasure. I'm not gonna post, right? Now, the thing that's interesting, and I'll share this from a statistical point of view so you know that I understand how you feel right now as I'm even sharing this, right? In 2012, 2013, my wife and I went on a coaching program. And one of the things we discovered on that coaching program is in the room, they did a survey. There's like 1,000 of us, you know, a few hundred to 1,000 of us in the room. And they did a quick survey and they said, how many of you are afraid to speak in public, right? On stage, etc. And nearly everyone put their hands up, right? And then they asked how many of you are afraid of death, right? And not as many people put their hands up. And what they said is it's actually statistically proven, and they did that in the small sample of that room to also show the statistics that they had, that most people are more afraid of public speaking than they are of death. So I understood on this day 3 of the cash flow creation challenge by asking, presenting, or giving this opportunity for the participants in VIP to share on their social media that this was very close to basically speaking on stage. So I understood many people are going to be afraid of it. But one of the things I believe, right, and one of the things I've been teaching my students for a number of years, and I stand by this, right? I stand by this like literally the way I stand by the Bible. I believe that all true value, okay? I'm going to say this again, so you might want to pick up a pen. I believe that all true value, okay? So if we consider value as, let's just even use the word, right? Let's say this word is value. I believe with all of my heart that all true value is found just outside of you and I's comfort zone. Wherever your comfort zone is, whatever your comfort zone is, I strongly believe that the moment we breach this perimeter of the comfort zone, the moment we break out of the boundary of our comfort zone is the very, very moment. It's the very moment that we're able to access value. I'm going to say that again. I've strongly believed this for a number of years, from the age of 18, when I was released from my second stint in prison. I want you to understand this, guys. I discovered that all true value, all true access to value is found slightly outside of the human comfort zone. Now, the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I want you to understand, when I gave the challenge, when I gave the task, when I gave this small tactic, hey guys, go on your social media platform and just say for a moment, hey, I'm interested, etc., right? I'm active in property, etc., etc. And I gave them kind of a framework of what to say. But when I commissioned that task to the people in the Cash Flow Creation Challenge on that day 3, I knew it would be challenging people. I was well aware that public speaking is more scary for some people than literally the threat of death. But the reason I gave the task is because I understood that all value is found outside of the comfort zone. So Lamide said, no, Samuel, I'm not doing that. She literally said, I'm not doing it, which was crazy, right? I'm not doing it, was her words. She said, I wouldn't do that. I don't do stuff like that. I'm not going to go on social media and tell people my business. I'm not going to go on social media and tell people what I'm doing. I'm not going to go on social media and this and that, etc., etc. Right? She was adamant she's not doing it. Okay? Now, this is just so profound about this, right? It's only a 5-day training, right? So it wasn't up to 3 days later, okay? But long story short, in less than 24 hours, it was literally the next day, Lamade came back and she had what we might call a praise report, okay? Now, Lamade's praise report was a very simple praise report. Her praise report was, Samuel, I did what you said. Now, that wasn't the value, okay? That wasn't the value, that wasn't the kicker. There was more to it. She said, Samuel, I did what you said. She said, and Samuel, when I did what you said, this is what happened, okay? She said, Samuel, I did what you said, and Samuel, when I did what you said, this is what happened, all right? Would you like to know what happened? If you would, just write in the comments, I would, okay? And I'm going to share with you exactly what happened to Lamade on that day so you can know what's possible also for you. So you can know what's possible also for me. So you can know what's possible for everybody who starts to understand the simple strategy and framework that I'm going to be breaking down for all of us in today's session, okay? Simply put, I would, right? So this is what happened for Lamade. Lamade, very simply, decided to post. She said, Samuel, I did what you said. She decided to post. And from her posting, an absolutely amazing thing happened. She posted on social media, I believe it was on the platform of Facebook, and she had over, I think it was 33 exactly, but she had over 30 people contact her within a window of less than 24 hours. She came back to the VIP session on day 4. She came back. Now, I want you to understand the shock I experienced / felt, right? Because Lamade said on day 3, I'm not doing it. She didn't even say, I'll think about it. She didn't say, I'll go to bed and consider it. And this really rocked my world that day, right? Like I said, this was a couple years ago. It rocked my world because she had said categorically, I'm not doing it. But she was one of the people who came back the next day with the fruit of it. Now, the reason it rocked my world is because that day I discovered something. In that 24 hours, I discovered something. I discovered that sometimes the people advising you to not do something are the very people doing the thing they're advising you not to do. And you might be thinking, Samuel, how so? Well, this is how so. Lamade said, I'm not doing it, which instinctively I know would have made other people who were maybe on the fence or maybe indecisive or maybe unsure of their own skin, right, to not do it. It would have made other people feel like, okay, you know what, I can get away with just not doing it. But here's the thing that's interesting. Lamade said she wasn't doing it, but Lamade went on to do it. And in Lamade doing it, what happened, what occurred? She received the results, the byproduct. 33 messages back of people showing interest, engaging, saying, Lamade, you know what? I'm interested. I'm interested. Now, I broke down in the VIP session on day 4 to Lamade exactly why she had so many people after analyzing her content, the content piece she put out, right? But I just want you guys to understand how this works. I want you to understand that sometimes we are missing great opportunities because maybe we heard someone else say, I'm not doing that. Or maybe we thought within ourselves, like Lamade, I'm not doing that. And I want you to understand that there are little things in front of you, like maybe making a social media post. There are little things in front of you, like maybe waking up every day and starting with your Bible in terms of devotion. There are little things in front of you, like maybe tuning in to a session like this and making sure that you've got your notepad, your iPad, your tablet, your stylus, your pen, paper, and everything you need in order to succeed. Maybe these little things that you're not leveraging are the very reason why you're not leaning on what you believe to be a lot. So that was Lamade's story. Let me tell you another very super quick story, right? Let's call this lady Lorraine, right? Now I'm not promoting gambling, but I want to use the context of a casino just to show you how this works. So I want you to imagine this woman named Lorraine, right? Lorraine walks into a casino. Let's say she's in Vegas. And there's all these other people in the casino. Let's say they're all men, right? So it's a fully male-dominated casino, right? Lots of men in the casino. So Lorraine comes into the casino, and there's, let's say, like 100, 200 men in the casino. So Lorraine super stands out because she's the only woman in the casino. If this makes sense, just write "makes sense" in the chat. So I know this is making sense to you. So Lorraine's in this casino. There's like 100 plus men in the casino. She's the only woman in the casino. So she stands out, super stands out, right? Now, all these men are just spending their money in the machine. Some on the roulette table, some on the blackjack table, some playing poker, whatever games they're playing, right? In the slot machines. And guys, you can tell I have no idea about how casinos work because I don't even know if these games are table games or machine games, whatever, right? But for the purpose of this illustration, let's say all these 100 of men are playing all these different games on tables, on machines, etc. Lorraine walks in to the casino, and as she walks into the casino, Lorraine goes to one specific machine. She goes to one specific machine, and she has one specific coin. Okay? Now, most of you know I'm a stats man, right? I've studied 4 degrees, and 2 out of those 4 are statistics related, right? Which means I'm very much interested in probability, prediction, etc., right? So Lorraine walks in, and bear in mind, in this casino, like many casinos, right? The heads of the casino, the head of the casino can see everything. They've got a web of CCTV cameras. They've got the cameras everywhere. They can see everything. They can see how much money you're putting into the machine, but even more so, they can see how much money you got left in your purse, right? They can see everything. So Lorraine walks up to this machine. She takes out the only coin she has, right? Now, my American people, you need to let me know if I'm right or wrong, right? Is that a nickel or is that a dime? Let's just say she takes out a coin, right? She takes out the lowest denomination of a coin. Maybe it's a quarter, right? She takes out this coin. Lorraine sticks this coin into the machine. Let's say it's a slot machine. She sticks this coin into the machine, but the owner of the casino recognizes something. The owner of the casino recognizes when he looks through the CCTV camera that Lorraine's coin she's putting in the machine is her last coin. He recognizes this because he can see in her purse, or as you Americans would say, in her pocketbook. So Lorraine is the only woman in this casino. There are hundreds of men in this casino. All these men are playing the slot machine. All these men are playing the crab tables. All these men are playing all of the games with all of their money. Lorraine's the only woman in the whole casino. She goes up to one slot machine. She takes out her only coin. The head of the casino can see inside of her pocketbook, inside of her purse. That's the only money she has. She puts it in the machine and she presses the button and waits to see what happens. Or pulls the slot. Let me put it that way to be accurate, right? Now, here's where everything gets different. The head of the casino, because he could see inside of Lorraine's purse, inside of her pocketbook, with those ninja CCTV cameras they have in these casinos in Vegas, he can see that's her last money. Guess what he does? He presses the button, right? He presses the ejector button, the secret ejector button that these casinos don't have, but they really do have. That eject button that literally makes Lorraine win. Now, I know some of you are literally listening to this story, and for those of you who are on the YouTube stream, congratulations for jumping in. If you get value at any point, feel free to hit like, feel free to hit share, but more importantly, why don't you just subscribe? Because this is a channel that we're working on growing, right? So, the head of the casino hits that button, the eject button, eject the win, let her win, make her win, right? And she wins. And Lorraine has all manner of coins. She just put in a nickel or a dime or a quarter into the machine. She put one coin in, but she starts getting tens, thousands, hundreds of coins out. Her little purse can't handle the prosperity. Okay? Now, some of you are listening to this story and you're saying, Samuel, Lorraine, Samuel, who is this woman? How did this happen? I want to show you exactly who Lorraine is. But more importantly, I want to show you how Lorraine's story can become your story. Because some of us haven't realized how powerful what I just shared with you is. Some of us haven't realized that what I just described to you is happening for human beings every single day. So let me share with you exactly where I found Lorraine's story. Because I found Lorraine's story in the pages of the Bible. That's Luke chapter 21, right? Follow me there. In Luke chapter 21, I'm going to read from verse 1. We literally see the story I just shared with you of Lorraine. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, Samuel, I've never heard of a Lorraine in the Bible. Well, now you have, okay? Like I said earlier, I'm changing names to protect the innocent. What was the power in Lorraine's story? I want you to understand. Lorraine's power in the story was she leveraged the little she had. I'm going to say this again because some of you are missing this every single day. And because you're missing this every single day, guess what's happening? You're not able to lean on a lot. You're not getting access to so much more. You're not seeing how things truly work. And I'm going to say something that I've said for a number of years and many people don't understand, right? And that is, if you live life casually, you'll become a casualty. Someone throw that in the chat if you understand what I'm talking about. If you live life casually, you will have to become a casualty. Now, the reason I've been saying this for years is because many more people need to hear this. Many more people need to understand this. The reason why Lorraine's story could become your story is because Lorraine decided to leverage the little she had. Lorraine knew that was her last coin, but she was still bold enough, brave enough to stick it into the machine. Now, what if I told you that the casino I painted is not really a casino? What if I told you that that casino is just life in general? And life in general is going to determine, God himself is going to determine what you get out based on what you put in. Hello, someone. If someone resonates with this, just let me know in the chat. I do. I want you to see how this works. You see, most people have never realized that the reason why they're not winning is because they've stopped batting in the innings. They haven't realized that, like Lorraine in the story of the casino, she took her last coin. And the only people that knew that she was playing with her last dime was the actual casino manager, was the people that were in charge, were the people that could see through the CCTV cameras even what she had in her pocketbook, purse, wallet, whatever you want to call it. So, like I said, let's see Lorraine's story in 3D. Let's find Lorraine's story in the Bible. And like I said, I changed the names to protect the innocent. Luke chapter 21, I'm reading from verse 1. I'll read to around verse 4 or 5. Luke chapter 21, verse 1, it says, and he looked up and saw the rich men casting their gifts into the treasury. Okay, so I said in the casino, there's hundreds of men right there. These hundreds of men are playing the crab tables. They're playing the slot machines. They're playing everything. Some are winning, most are losing. But watch this. Verse 2. And he saw also a certain poor widow casting in thither 2 mites, which means her 2 mites, the last that she had, right? This is Lorraine. Let's go verse 3. And he said, of a truth I say unto you, that this poor widow have cast in more than they all. It goes further. Let me share with the verse 4. For all these of their abundance cast in unto the offerings of God. But she of her penury, which means little, of her minuscule amount, watch this, have cast in all the living that she had. You see, I want you to understand something. And it's a very simple principle. So if you've got a pen, write this down, okay? When you leverage your little, you get to lean on a lot. The problem for most people is they don't leverage their little. They have no access. They get no access. They'll have no access to lean on a lot. This is what Lorraine did. Lorraine's the simple, single individual who says, you know what? I don't have a lot. I've got 2 mites. I want you guys to see this, right? This is Lorraine, right? Lorraine, she says, I don't have a lot. I don't have a lot. In this rendition of what we're talking about, Lorraine literally has, in Luke 21, she has 2 mites. In the story I told you, she has 1/4. She has very little. But here's the thing with Lorraine, right? Which most people miss. Lorraine goes all in. Here's the problem with most people. Most people don't go all in. Most people want to have a lean on a lot, but they haven't even leveraged a little. I want all of the people under the sound of my voice, hearing this live, hearing this on a replay, hearing this because someone shared it with you. I want you to understand something super simple. You will never have lean on a lot until you learn how to leverage a little. I'll say it again for those who wanted to pick up the pen. You will never have lean on a lot until you learn to leverage your little. In the story of the casino, the reason why Lorraine is able to have the slot machine pouring so much wealth out of it is because she decided to she decided to leverage her little. She put in her quarter, she put in her mites. And this is what Jesus is telling us in Luke chapter 21. Luke chapter 21 verses 1 to 4 is explicitly telling you that the utilization of your little is the determination of your lot. Lorraine, in my story, was able to take the little she had and say, you know what, I don't know if this will produce more, but I'm going to use it 100% for sure. Here's a question to you. Here's a question for me. Are you using the little you have? And one of the things I want you to do is I want you to forget about the lot you will get. Because what most people do is they only use the little they have because they believe in the lot they'll get. What would happen if you stopped thinking about the lot you will get and only focused on the little you had? This is what would happen. The first thing is you'd start to, oh my gosh, this is going to help somebody. The first thing that would happen is you would start to, let's bring this up, you'd start to see more. Okay? And the reason you start to see more is because you start to recognize that you're focused on what you have and not what you don't have. You see, I submit to you that gratitude is a great attitude. I remember John Maxwell saying over 10 years ago, I heard this from him, that your attitude will determine your altitude. So I want you to think about this. If gratitude is a great attitude and your attitude determines your altitude, why are you still at the same latitude? You see, so many people are stuck where they are because they don't recognize what they have. And it doesn't take much. It doesn't take major things for you to say one day, you know what, I'm going to just focus on what I've already got. So the first thing that will happen when you become adamant that you are going to start to leverage your little and you get focused on your little and you even forget about the lot you can get, is you're going to start to see more. You're going to start to see more of what you have access to. You see, some people can't be more because unfortunately they've been unable to see more. I want you to understand how this works. How can you be more if you have an inability to see more? The Bible says in Proverbs 29 verse 18, without a vision, the people perish. What does that mean? That means some people can't be because of their inability to see. Let's go deeper, right? So the first thing that's going to happen if you get focused on your little and stop thinking about the lot is you're going to be able to see more. Some of you have heard me say it before. Small keys open big doors. So what should you be focused on? Many people are focused on the big doors. I submit to you, you should be focused on the small key. That small key gives you the ability to go through the big door. So the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to be able to see more. Now, here's something that's profound that happens when you're able to see more, okay? People who can see more, I'm going to say this, and you might not be comfortable with this, but this is the truth. People who can see more have an innate ability to be able to say more. You see, how does this work? Very simply. When you're able to see the things you have, you can now confidently speak from where you're at because you have a clearer picture of where you're at. You see, we live in a crazy world right now. We live in a world where people are seeing things that are fictitious, thinking that they're real. So what happens is people start saying things that are fictitious, thinking they're saying things that are real. And the only reason this happens is because what you see determines what you say. And if you can't see more, and thus you can't be more, you're going to have an inability to be able to say more. This is why what you see is so crucial. This is why a vision, Proverbs 29 verse 18, is so crucial. This is why if you are a married man with no vision, if you are a married woman with no family vision, if you are a child in a family with no vision, you have a challenge ahead of you. And the biggest challenge is not to get a job or a degree or to make some more money. The biggest challenge is to have a vision. Because without a vision, the people perish. Or in other translations, without a vision, the people cast off restraint. What does that mean? That means they don't follow through with the little they have. They don't obey the laws. They don't do what they can do. And if you don't do what you can do, how can you get anything coming to you? So the first thing that happens when you stop thinking about the lot and you start focusing on the little is you start to see more. Then you begin to develop a skill to be able to say more. Okay? Now, why is it that you can see and say more when you're focused on what we're calling proverbially the little that you have? The reason you're able to see and say more is because you're speaking based on firmer foundations. You're speaking based on what you know is there. You're speaking based on tangibility. You're speaking based on authenticity. You're speaking based on things that you can say, no, we've got this, we've done this, we've made this happen. Let me share this with you, right? Because I want you guys to see this. Matthew chapter 13, right? This is my favorite parable in the whole Bible. I'm gonna read this to you because I want you to see how this works, okay? Matthew chapter 13, I'm reading verse 44. Simple parable. The reason it's my favorite parable in the whole Bible is because it's a whole story in one verse, right? And I love the way that God can be super brief, but give you so much, right? So Matthew 13, verse 44, it says, again, which means I've told you this story before. I'm gonna tell you again. And he decides this time to tell you in one verse. The kingdom of heaven is like unto treasure hid in a field. But watch this. The which when a man hath found it, he hideth, and for joy thereof goeth and selleth all that he hath and buys that field. Listen, most people, when they find treasure, are interested in grabbing, getting, stealing the treasure, right? They're focused on the lot. They've seen a lot. Now they want to steal a lot, right? Now, this person in this story, Matthew 13:44, this is what astounded me when I first discovered this story, maybe 20 years ago, right? What astounded me was this individual was able to see, but when they were able to see, they didn't say to themselves, oh, now I've seen, I'm going to be. They didn't say, okay, I've seen it, now I'm going to steal it. Okay? They said something completely different. Let me share with you what they said. They said, I've seen treasure and I know where that treasure is found. So I know all I need to do is legally take hold of where it's found, and the treasure innately will also be bound. They recognized if they took control of the land, if they took control of where the treasure was hidden, they'd also get access to everything inside of that land as well, including the treasure. So what was the focus of the individual in Matthew 13:44? Very simply, watch this. The focus of the individual in Matthew 13:44 was not the treasure, it was what they had. I have stuff that used to mean something to me, that used to be treasure to me. But now I've truly seen what treasure is. I can say, let's go. I'm getting rid of what I've got. The Bible says in Matthew 13:44, he goes and sells everything he has. Everything he thought was valuable before. Now, someone might argue, Samuel, it doesn't say everything he thought was valuable before, but I would submit to you, if it wasn't implied that everything he had, which he sold, he thought was valuable before, why would he have it? Some of us have stuff right now that we recognize has no value now, but at the time we acquired it, it was super valuable to us. And that's why we are where we are. But what we don't realize is something that's super valuable, hashtag a lot in the past, may become your little in the present. And until you see what was a lot to you in the past as a little to you in the present, you are not going to set yourself up to have a lot in your future. And the key is, in order for you to have that new a lot in your future, just start to recognize the little you have in your present. Just start to recognize. So the first thing is to see better. You start to see better. You see way better, right? The moment you start or stop focusing on the lot and start focusing on the little you have, the first thing that happens is you start to see things better. The second thing that will happen is not only will you see things better, you start to say things better. You start saying things based on what you've actually seen, what's accurate. Right? And guys, hopefully everyone understands when I'm saying see, I'm not talking about just with your natural eyes. I mentioned the word vision. I'm talking about seeing things philosophically, seeing things spiritually, seeing things appropriately, right? Seeing principles, patterns, practices. Okay? But after you start to see more appropriately, you start to say more appropriately, you get this superpower to start to seek more effectively, to start to seek more appropriately. If someone understands what I'm talking about, just write in the comments, I get it. you then start to have an ability to seek more effectively. We see this in Matthew chapter 13, verse 44, so accurately. The kingdom of heaven is like unto treasure that the which that is hid in the field. When a man hath found, he hideth it, and for the joy thereof, for the excitement, for the joy, for the gratitude, for the fact that, yo, I've just found something super valuable, he goes and sells, he goes and gets rid of everything that he's got and says to himself, I'm getting rid of this so I can acquire this. He gets rid of everything he's got so he can acquire something fresh, something new, something wholesome. That land which emboldens him to actually have access to that treasure. Now, why is this so powerful? Why is this so rich? It's powerful and rich because the man in Matthew 13:44 first sees a new treasure. He then says to himself, listen, what I thought was treasure before was not treasure to me anymore, and starts to sell what he has, which he perceived was treasure. And then he moves into a third gear and starts to seek the new land which acquaints him and allows him to acquire that treasure that he saw. Here's a question for you. What is it that you're seeing that's determining what you're saying, that's directing what you're seeking? What is it that you're seeing that's determining what you're saying, that's directing the path in which you're seeking? I need you to think about that. This is something that every single one of us should really consciously consider. Like, what is it that I've seen that's determining me to say what I've been saying? And what is it that I'm saying that's causing me to be on a particular path of what I'm seeking? And once we discover those three tiers, those three layers of that framework, guess what we can do? We can ask ourselves the question, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong? What if I haven't seen something of a spiritual nature, which is the primary nature, which should cause me to be saying something in this physical nature, which should determine what I'm seeking in this world that we're currently living in? Now, I'm mindful of time, so let's go deeper, right? So we're going to go to Matthew 25, okay? So we started by me sharing with you Lamide's story, me sharing with you Lorraine's story, and me sharing with you from Lamide's story, from Lorraine's story, that we live in a world which is super interesting, a world where we can tap into the little we have. We saw the widow with 2 mites in the book of Luke, right? Who was able to invest those 2 mites, and God, who sees everything, was able to say, listen, of this woman, co-sign, we, for the rest of our lifetime, will be speaking about her. Okay, we was able to see that. Okay, but now it goes deeper than that. It goes so much deeper than that. After we spoke about Lamide's story and Lorraine's story, it goes so much deeper. How does it go deeper? It goes deeper because then we start to see, well, hold on a minute. If I actually focus on the things that are important, my 2 mites, if I focus on what I have, not what I don't have, if I focus on what I got access to, not the masses of things I desire to have, if I focus on my small key and not the big door, then I'm able to start to see things more accurately. Then I'm able to say things more accurately, and then I'm able to seek more appropriately. All keys, right? So watch this right now. This is true life, biblical principle, make it super simple, right? I'm going to Matthew chapter 25. I'm going to read specifically, for the sake of time, I'll just get straight to the verse. So I'm going to read verse 23. I might read a few verses. I'll read from verse 20. For those of you who don't know, Matthew chapter 25 breaks down and describes what the Bible calls a parable of, well, there's a number of parables here, but there's the parable of the 10 virgins that starts in Matthew 25, but then it goes on to the parable of the talents, okay, which is a very famous parable. And basically, in essence, what happens in this parable is there are 3 workers who work for one master. That one master is going on a journey, and as he goes on his journey, he deposits a sum of value with each of those specific workers, okay? He gives one 5, he gives another 2, he gives another 1. The person with 5 doubles up, turns the 5 to 10, okay? The person with 2 doubles up, turns the 2 to 4, right? And the person with 1 hides the 1. They literally dig it and hide it in a bank. No, okay? I'm playing with you. Read Matthew chapter 25 for homework so you know what I'm talking about. Now, let's go in. Matthew chapter 25, and this is going to show you the principle in 3D, all right? And if someone's getting value, just write the word value in the chat. If you're getting value and you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to hit the like button or subscribe. We've seen our statistics, and literally 60-something% of people who watch this content do not subscribe. I don't know why. Let's go. So Matthew chapter 25, I'm reading verse 20 just to show you this principle in 3D. It says, and so he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, you delivered unto me 5 talents. Behold, I've gained beside them 5 more talents. Watch this, 21. His Lord said unto him, well done, you good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. What's a few things? The little. This is what I'm talking about throughout this whole training session, right? I want you guys to understand this. It's leveraging the little you have that gives you the opportunity to lean on what other people will say is a lot. It starts with the little. It doesn't start with, oh, if I can get 10. It doesn't start with, oh, when I make more friends. It starts with, who are the friends you have now? It doesn't start with, oh, one day when I learn this. No, what have you learned already now that you're not using? You're not utilizing. You're not putting into practice. Okay, let's go deeper. 21. I will make you ruler over many things. That's the leaning on a lot, right? Enter thou into the joy of the Lord, right? Let's go deeper. 22. He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. Watch this, 23. His Lord said unto him, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Now, for the sake of time, I can't go deeper and deeper and deeper into this, but I'm going to recap and share with you guys all of the insights just very simply for you to understand how to leverage this and utilize this in your life right now. At the start of today's session, I shared with you the story of Lamade. I shared with you secondarily the story of Lorraine. And I said to you, based on Lamade's story, based on Lorraine's story, it is very possible that you and I right now in our lives may not be having the lot we desire because we're not mindful of the little that we've already acquired. Now, if we take advantage, I see value in the chat, if we take advantage of the little that has been given to us. Now, you may not see your little as a little. That's okay. I'm here to tell you something. Your little is a little, even if you right now think it's a lot. But when you recognize, like Lorraine recognized, that all I have is not even mine, and I'm ready to put it forward for the thing I've been assigned, everything can change for you. So like I shared, the moment you tune into that gear and say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to stop living for the lot I don't have, and I'm going to stay focused on the little I know I have, you are going to first start to see more appropriately, which is going to equip you to be able to say things more adequately, which is going to lead you on a journey so you can start to see things more effectively. This is Samuel I Can Win. I pray you got value. For those of you who are joining us on YouTube, feel free to share inside of the comments as the bye-bye screen comes up. Feel free to share with us your biggest takeaway from today's session. And for those of you in a private room, we'll be taking our questions and answers inside of the private room right now. Good day, God bless, and I'll see you on the next stream. Like I said, hit like, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. God bless and good day.